This is the 68th episode of the Effective Executive podcast and YouTube channel. And this week I wanted to talk about habits for success. And if you've watched any of my videos, you will see at the beginning of them, there is a card or a link to a playlist for being efficient versus being effective. So you may want to go and watch those particular videos, give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. But just shortly, being efficient means that you're doing things right versus being effective means you're doing the right things. And most executives that I work with are very efficient in what they do, but they're not very effective. They're not always working on the right things. So what are the right things for executives? Well, this is a constant battle. We live in a dynamic environment. Customers' wants and needs change all the time, as do employees, as we found out with the Great Resignation or whatever we have going on. And so employees' wants and needs, they change also. But too many executives, as I've talked about in other videos and podcasts, rely on reports over reality. And I know reports are supposed to give you a sense of reality, but they're not. They're filtered in one way or another. They're grouped. They're the way somebody looked at a piece of data and then presented it to you as an executive, typically. So what happens is when we're looking at reports or filtered information, is that entropy starts to take over our systems and things deteriorate when you spend time, especially when you spend time on the wrong things. So one of the things that when working with executives, past, present, and future, is that I have them look at their calendar. Where do you spend time? Is it in meetings? Because then again, still in meetings, you're getting filtered information, and a lot of times it's about doing things right as opposed to looking to do the right things. Maybe the reports that I mentioned earlier, you're looking at that, filtered information, data. It can be manipulated and filtered also, grouped in a certain way, the way somebody looks at data. And so what you need is unfiltered information. You need to basically see for yourself to discover the right things to do. And so habits are made up of basically a cue, and I'll put it up here, a routine, and a reward. Now, typically, a cue when I'm trading options, for instance, I'll go through a series of things to look at a particular stock or ETF that I'm going to trade an option on. And it ranges, there's multiple steps for me, but I'll look at its implied volatility and a number of other things. And then this, in essence, I've developed this routine, and then the reward is I hopefully get a profit out of it at the end by doing the homework that I do. And one thing about rewards is there needs to be more intrinsic rewards as opposed to extrinsic. And extrinsic rewards will lead you to going back to the financials and manipulating those in order to make your quarter look good or your year end look good and all those types of things. And everybody does it, but it doesn't help with what actually creates profit for organizations is provisioning goods and services for customers that they want and enjoy getting from your particular organization or company. So the intrinsic rewards are, knowing or doing the right things by virtue of the routines that you do. And so one of the things I work on with executives is developing their habits to get their calendar right. Because a lot of times I'll find executives are tied to their calendar. It's almost like a torture chamber of sorts, where oh, I got to see what I'm doing this week because I've got all this stuff already on my calendar. And you need to be, as an executive, you need to be the one driving your own calendar. Otherwise, people will eat up your time very quickly and putting things on your calendar that may be doing things right, but not necessarily getting you to doing the right things. And so the thing that I suggest to most executives is that they spend anywhere from 2 to 4 hours every week listening to customers. Now, if you have a contact center, it makes it real easy. It could be going on calls with salespeople. It could be any of a number of things, but it's interacting with customers to understand what their wants and needs are, so you can see how your system is performing without looking at the reports. And matter of fact, well, look at the reports, but match it up against what reality is. Those two things match. And do you have the right data? Do you have the right measures for employees that are out there? Is it driving actions that are counter what the customer wants? And if so, why do those exist? And you can go on with the questioning, which is a lot of the coaching and advising that I do. So that's the first thing. Now, I know I've done other videos and podcasts on this, but one of the things I'll get, because working with CFOs and CTOs and CIOs and all those C-level positions, will say, well, I really don't need to spend time with the customer because I'm in a different area. I'm in finance. Well, I disagree. So does the data. The difference is that even in support positions, and yes, you're a support position unless you're directly interacting with the customer, is you will get greater satisfaction in your jobs, and your people will also, by understanding the customer better and why the system is set up the way that it is. Otherwise, you're always kind of backseat driving what's going on in support areas, which, they can always do it better, but they can't because they don't understand what's happening and what's preventing the system from doing it. But they can understand if they spend time and develop a routine around sitting with customers and learning about what they're asking for, how the system's set up, how employees that interact with customers, some of the challenges that they have, but more so, is the system doing the right things for customers, or is it just doing things right? We're checking a box and moving on in the form of a script or any of a number of other things that are put out there, a process, a procedure, things of that sort. So doesn't matter where you are in the organization, at an executive level, connecting yourself to the customer should be one of the things that you develop a habit around. The other thing, and I'm not going into it too deeply here, is proactive innovation. You're spending an hour or two a week in your system or promoting in your system, developing innovation for new products and services that are out there. These are investments of time that will pay you back down the road. You may not reap the benefit this week or next week or a month from now or even a year from now, but somewhere down the road, you're in developing new ways of doing things. You'll be able to get not only new customers, but better profit, things of that sort. All right. So in 2022, I'll be talking more about these types of things like habits and things that you can practically do, with your calendars, with developing habits, developing the cues, the routine, getting the reward at the end, and the reward for developing habits around listening to customers and innovation is you're doing the right things, and that will ultimately lead to a delayed satisfaction, but in essence, an organization that can provision services and products that customers want and enjoy getting from you. So that was it for this week, and I will catch you next week.